Right, let's hear now from Wendy. Wendy Jackson joining us from a library. Oh, she's outside now. Last time I
I'm
saw you in a
outside.
library.
The internet went out, and I am toggling on my phone. So if I disappear, my apologies. But we'll I hope this is
Great.
meant to
It's
be.
it's working at the moment. Thank you for joining us all the way from the United States. I know you live in the
Pleasure.
UK sometimes and the States other times, and you've been supporting local groups as well. Wendy, you're a trauma expert, but most of us aren't trauma experts. What do we need to know in order to be helpful to our guests, particularly as some of these placements are growing longer?
Yeah, it's really interesting listening to both Susanna and Rachel talk about the experiences, face to face with the guests, because there's a lot of trauma signaling through some of the behaviors. And so the first thing I would say is understanding trauma might be really helpful to you as a host, because you may be thinking that one thing is going on when it's something else. We put together all kinds of great resources, and we keep working on it to help you get that information. We know there's a lot of you out there, and we're just trying to really just educate you, give you some context to help you understand why there might be a lot of noise, or kids in different beds, or things of that nature that seem to be going on a bit. And the first thing I would say about trauma is that we experience trauma in our bodies, and it is a automatic response, and we're just designed to protect ourselves, to survive. And so when we're in a highly triggered mode, even if we're just moving from one location to another, we're going to be a little bit more sensitive, a little easier to be triggered. And so having come from having to leave your home, maybe leaving people behind, all the things that you've heard from your guests, landing in England, getting your kids in school, living with somebody else, on the outside, things may look okay. On the inside, may be quite different. And so some of the aggressive behavior that you may be seeing might just be that fight response, especially from the children, because they're not quite so sure what's going on, versus where the parents more so made a plan. They had to make a decision. Do we stay? Do we go? What's the right thing to do? And they experienced that release of getting away, whereas the children still aren't really quite sure what's going on. Depending on what their language skills are, that could be a problem. All kinds of things going on underneath the surface that might be trauma related. And so, the best thing that I can offer is the To Be Known channel on YouTube. It's To Be Known Mental Health and Wellness is going to put out as much content as we can to help you understand what's going on. We've got a couple things up there right now that you can access. Really an overview of preparing yourself for having somebody that has just experienced a traumatic event in your home, what that might be like. How do you protect yourself? Some of the safeguarding issues, like what Rachel spoke about. So that hopefully is helpful. And then, taking questions like we're doing here tonight as well, and trying to give some context and perspective to help with the lines of communication and understanding, and just really focusing on the autonomy of the guest, and boundaries in the household, so that we can make this last 6 months or longer. And it's like having a roommate at university. We go through growing pains, and you guys are in the thick of it, and it's going to be something to work through. And this may be just the hardest part of it right now. And once that gets, some boundaries go in, and we get past that honeymoon of they feel safe and happy to be here, and you feel good about being able to do something for somebody else and stepping up in this manner. Now we got to actually live together. And, that's going to be just a lot of understanding and a lot of learning how to communicate. And maybe what you wanted to do was have dinner every night together and really welcome them into your home and community. And actually, it might be better to have separate meals and separate times in the kitchen. And then if you want to invite your guest for dinner, you invite them like you invite anybody, and vice versa. And so that you help with the separate spaces and boundaries, because that's what's going to make this sustainable. We all have our own issues personally, and now we've brought a whole nother family into our home as well. That they've all had different situations leaving Ukraine, and that'll look different in each household. But they've had to leave their country, and that's pretty traumatic. Even if you just packed up and left, even if you haven't experienced anything, that's a difficult thing to settle into.
Amazing, great, good to see you. Thank you so much, and well done for persevering with Wi-Fi, even though you're outside. We're getting a bit of wind noise, but we could hear what you were saying. So that's
terrific.
Wendy, some people are trying to work out how you know what's down to trauma, what's just normal personality. Especially when you've got a kind of another language going on. Do you have any advice there?
Well, as you get to know, I guess you'll find out their personality a little bit. But when you're seeing a flight response, so this is people that they want to go home, and when they say they want to go home, they don't really mean I want to go home to what's going on at home right now. What they mean is I want to go home before the war. I want to go to work. I want my kids to go to school. I want to see my family and friends. I just want things the way they were. The orientation that I knew. This is disorientating for me, and I don't know what to do with it. And so the best thing I can think of is I just want to go back. And so those kind of behaviors of kind of wanting to run away or move around, that's probably trauma. Some of the aggressive behaviors as well, especially from the children, that's probably trauma. That is a very elevated physical self, kind of coming out of your skin feeling, if you've ever felt really anxious. And everything is, when I'm like that, I can hardly tie my shoes. I'm clumsy, and I do knock around, and I can sleep at night, and I'm hungry all the time, or I'm not hungry at all, or a lot of these things. And so these are very typical trauma responses. I wish I could tell you a magic formula that says this is personality and this is trauma. I can't. Because we all handle our levels of resilience are different. So you can't even say, well, this person went through this, so of course it's trauma. That's not even necessarily the case. It has a lot to do with how we're equipped to handle something when it happens. And there's a lot of people.
Really helpful. Thank you so much. We're going to be hearing from you again at the end when we have wider questions and answers. But you've set some really, really positive responses. People are very grateful for what you've shared. Some interesting results from the poll. I was pleased about this, actually. The number of people that would be willing. So how is the hosting going was the question. And good 47%, brilliant 28%, tough 19%, terrible 4%, and that's 165 people that have voted, which is, I think, most of you that are hosting have given an opinion on that. That's really encouraging. I often hear about when things are not going so well, but that does seem to be a minority. And if that's you, we're here for you. We'll give you every help that we can. But good to hear that many people are finding it good or excellent. So well done, everyone. We're just going to do a funny little thing now. And if you've got a phone that you might want to have ready, we're going to have a little competition. Later on in the evening, we're going to be hearing from Professor Lucy Easthope. And there's an opportunity for you to win her book. And in order to do that, you need to look at this little picture. We're going to put up a QR code. And that QR code, if you point your camera at it, on your phone, it should take you to a website. If that's not working for you, just go to sanctuaryfoundation.org.uk/course. And if you have not started the Sanctuary course, you can sign up for it this evening. And if you do, we'll enter you in a little draw and we'll pick out some winners, hopefully during the event. That's what we're going to try to see who can win a copy of Lucy Easthope's amazing book, When the Dust Settles, which was Book of the Week on Radio 4 recently. And if you missed that, you can hear a lot with Lucy on Woman's Hour, and that was just really, really inspiring. So there you go. Thanks, Callum's put up the little sign there, sanctuaryfoundation.org.uk/course. It's free. It covers some of the areas we've been speaking about tonight: how to keep yourself safe, how to think about things like trauma on yourself, how to work cross-culturally. It's a really good course with expert advice from around the country and actually around the world on the issues we've been talking about this evening.